So much of what we want to do on this video is just talk about how to kind of bring things back and make it simple. I may have already said this, but I find myself getting caught up in the complexity and the complications of making worship really like bigger, huger, you know? And just as a guy that's been doing this for the last 20 years in the same building, I find myself, every couple of years getting insecure going, man, maybe we need to like keep making it bigger and bigger, and we need to fill up our stage with 20 more people, and we need cooler haircuts, and we need more wah-wah pedals, and, whatever, fill in the blank. I don't know if you've ever felt that. You probably have at one point or another, where you just go, man, we don't have enough. And I go to these conferences, and I have a chance to speak at some of these conferences, and I'll be honest with you, usually they're in these beautiful, amazing, gigantic buildings that I really appreciate and frankly covet slightly. I covet the staff and their equipment and their lights and all this great stuff they have, because then I go back to my church and I feel a little bit like Charlie Brown, Remember Charlie Brown's Christmas tree? Kind of like, it's a little bit like that. I go back to my church, which I love, but it's, it's a metal building that we've tried to, make it feel like a church, and it's metal folding chairs, and, we don't have an overhead projector anymore. We actually have a projector. It's cool. But I just think over the years, I would come back and just feel like it's not enough, but then I'd have to catch myself and go, wait a minute, time out. Man, when it was just a piano player and I was playing acoustic and my pastor used to just lead us in choruses, and the presence of the Lord was just so strong and so powerful, and we never had a problem because we weren't comparing ourselves to all this other amazing stuff. That's the thing. There's all these amazing bands and amazing examples and models out there that I think are great, and they're very inspiring. But the good news is you don't have to be that. I don't have to be that. You can be who you are. I get to be who I am. We get to be who we are in Jesus, nothing more, nothing less. And we're going to talk a lot on this video about, working hard, trying to get our skill level, up to date, keep working on stuff. But in the end, I'm just trying to, like the Matt Redman song, I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you, Jesus. And, man, just a couple weeks ago, actually, I was walking in New York City, of all places, on a Sunday morning, and I passed this high school. It was basically a school, but I could hear music. And I stopped and I opened the door and kind of peeked in, and it was a small church. I say small, probably about 100 people. And they're meeting in this high school in New York City. And it was just a gal on piano, a couple singers, and they were just worshiping God. And there was they did a hymn, they did like a modern chorus that normally I'm used to hearing with electric guitar, but it was just sweet and encouraging to me to just hear people singing to God, Just, that's what it's about. That's like to define our role as a worship team. It's really to help people worship, help people sing. So just kind of like repeat that after me. Our job is to just help others worship and getting them to sing. And it was just almost refreshing to not have all the trappings. And they don't have to be trappings, Adding lights and sound and gear and all kinds of stuff can be an addition, and it can be helpful in creating an environment that makes it easy for people to connect with God. But sometimes it can be a distraction because we get hung up thinking we need all this stuff. And so not just a couple weeks ago, not just that, but just in the last year or so, I've really been there's been Sundays where I just asked my drummer, you know what, we're just going to do a no drummer Sunday. And nothing against you, Carl, but I'll just have like a couple acoustic guitars, and because you can just hear people sing. And it just kind of bringing it back to the simplicity of just singing to your God and lifting your heart in song and just singing your prayers to God. And that's just really like the essence or the baseline of what we're trying to do. Now, everything else we're going to talk about here is how to enhance that. Because, music has the potential to just make that even stronger and to take people's minds that have been distracted from the things and cares of this world, and on a Sunday morning they show up, and musically we have the potential to create an environment, like through the vehicle of music, that helps people kind of cast their cares aside and put their doubts behind and set their heart and mind on Jesus and his presence, to borrow from the song. So that's where I want to start. It's conversation and community. Again, regardless of how big your church is, I'm going to say it again. Just picture yourself like you're either like you're the matriarch or the patriarch of a big Italian family, and you're just inviting them in to worship, come on into the Olive Garden kind of thing. Come on, have a seat. It's like that's the posture. Instead of we're on a stage and here we come and 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. Maybe that works for you, or maybe that's a cool Friday night thing, just a night of worship celebration, and that's awesome. But, when I have to go back to my church and it's the 8:30 service, and there's maybe 300 people there. And sometimes I've tried to do that over the years thinking, yeah, I need to do that. I need to be more, And then I come home and I try to do that, honestly, and they look at me like, what are you doing? Their face is like saying, what are you doing? And I've just learned that, you know what? They don't want that from you. They don't want that from me. It's family time. Think of Sunday morning as like family time, man. It's bringing the family in. We're coming together, and we want to create a sense of community, and we want to facilitate this conversation between us and God, and then each other. So I just want to take it back. The band's here, and I'm just trying to think of like going back in the day when my pastor first said to me, hey, Paul, why don't you come and lead us in a song or two while I pray for people? And that was freak out moment number 127 for me. It's just like, oh my God, I don't do that, I just didn't do, I was the guitar player, thank you very much. But what are you gonna do? You're like on the mic. He said, Paul, why don't you just come lead us in a song while I just pray? Come on forward, those that need prayer. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jesus, I don't really do this. I love you, Lord. And just kind of freaking out. But anyway, little by little, steady by jerks, I got over that. But it was really, the bottom line is, you know what? It was really simple. I felt a lot of grace from people. My pastor gave me grace. Maybe you need to hear that. Maybe your pastor needs to hear that. I'm so glad I never applied to be the worship leader at a church. I just sort of said, I'll help out with the kids. I'll help out with kids' church or youth or whatever. Yeah, play guitar, sure. They've given me a lot of grace because there was never really a job attached to it per se, So let's go back to the beginning when it was just like you and maybe a handful of friends and maybe in a Bible study, and it's like, I don't know, I could picture like me on guitar back in the day and Shannon Wexelberg. Many times back in the day, it would be my wife Rita, and it would be maybe another couple, and we would just lead worship on Sunday morning, nothing fancy. Didn't have a drummer, and so even a song like, even an up-tempo song, just on guitar, I'd be like, praises rising, eyes are turning to you. We turn to you. Let's do When We See You. When we see you, we find strength to face the day. In your presence, all our fears are washed away. Washed away. Hosanna, Hosanna. You are the God who saves us, worthy of all our praises. I could keep going. And then we'd go into the next song and the next song. But the point is, it's like if that's all your worship team is right now, I just want you to know you can go a long way with just a guitar or just a piano vocal, a couple singers.